our 1,000-mile trip around New York State. One person, 1,000 is one person for every New Yorker killed in a traffic crash each and every year in New York State. Year after year, decade after decade, for nearly the last 100 years, with no end in sight. My name is Amy Cohen, and I'm the co-founder of Families for Safe Streets. And we are the group no one should ever have to join. We all lost a family member in a traffic crash or suffered a serious injury. And for me, it's 8.5 years since I lost my 12-year-old son. We're here today because we know that crashes are preventable, that my son did not need to die, that Nancy, who you'll hear from shortly, that her son RJ did not need to die, that Rebecca Sonkin's brother did not need to die. We have the cure, we just do not have the political will, and we are going around the state to fight for the Crash Victims' Rights and Safety Act, a package of 8 bills that will address the speeding, drunk driving, and large vehicles on our streets, support crash victims, protect our most vulnerable road users, including cyclists and pedestrians. This is a no-nonsense package of bills, and we can't wait any longer for them to be passed. There's only one more week remaining in the legislative session, and we are here today in Syracuse on the steps of City Hall, across from the state office building, because Assembly Member Magnarelli, who is chair of the Transportation Committee, has the capacity to bring these bills to the floor for a vote and make sure they are passed and become law. And he is not acting with the urgency that this pandemic requires. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nancy Tillman, who lost her son RJ.
Driver. He was riding his bicycle home from the college library and was downed by a Dodge Ram. The person that hit him drove off and just left him there. I can't tell you how many nights I laid in bed thinking about him and wondering if he was in pain when he was there, if he was afraid to die by himself. And the whole thing is this was not an accident that killed him. An accident is something that probably could be prevented. An accident is like, oops, I stepped on your foot, I'm sorry. It was an accident. He was killed in a crash. A crash is ugly, messy, and it was deadly. If I needed any validation of that, it was when I received his autopsy report. I won't share any of that with you because it's just too graphic. And it's more than a mother should have to do. That he was killed by a Dodge Ram. And that was found out by the police because the grill was laying on the ground. I didn't even know what a Dodge Ram was until one day in the grocery store parking lot I saw one. I said, holy, that is a half-ton pickup truck. That's what mowed down my son. Such large vehicles should not be taken lightly. They're dangerous, and few people understand how deadly they are to people walking or biking like RJ. Too many of our children, our spouses, our siblings, our partners have been killed. We need to do more, much more, to prevent these senseless deaths and life-altering injuries. Traffic fatalities and speeding are both on the rise. On average, 3 New Yorkers die daily in crashes, and hundreds more are senselessly injured with debilitating lifelong consequences. This epidemic affects hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers year after year. We have the tools to cure this epidemic. What we need is bold and immediate action from our lawmakers. The Crash Victim Rights and Safety Act is a package consisting of 8 life-saving bills that address rampant speeding on our streets. It offers incentives on the purchase of these huge vehicles. It holds reckless drivers accountable, protects our most vulnerable street users, and supports those personally impacted by crashes. What next? It's up to our elected officials to make this happen, and they need to do it now. You don't need any more parents to bring their children, to bury their children, and suffer the unimaginable heartbreak that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. It's not easy to bear your pain. I know I have done it too many times. I'd like to invite our elected officials to come down and share a few remarks. So, Crystal? He's going to go first, but I think we're all going to come on down. Okay, Michael Green, it's really an honor to have you here.
Thank you. My name is Michael Green. I'm a Syracuse Common Councilor at large, and I'm here today because Syracuse is like so many cities across New York State, but around the country, where for so long we've designed our cities based on how do you get the most amount of cars through the city as quickly as possible. And it's a terrible way to run a city. We should be focusing on quality of life, making the city a walkable, bikeable place to be, and you would really make the quality of life so much better, in addition to reducing these tragedies that are unnecessary. These are public policy choices we've made by prioritizing cars over people, and the time to change that is now.
Thank you. And also Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone who organized this and the parents who've come out to share their experience. I think that we're having a big conversation in America right now about infrastructure and looking and redesigning our streets and redesigning our world for the way we want it, and having a new vision. We've relied on the old vision for too long, and as we look forward, prioritizing public safety has to be something that elected officials stand up and they're willing to fight for. So I just want to applaud everyone who's taken this fight up and come here to demand more accountability from their elected representatives. And I can promise you, for myself and Councilor Green on the council, we in Syracuse, and President Hudson, who's here, President Helen Hudson, that we will take up this fight and be there right with you guys. And I just want to say I hope that we can achieve some positive change sometime in the near future, because, as you said, it's not an accident if we can prevent it, if we can step up and do the right thing. So thank you all for your advocacy, and thank you for coming here with us.
Thank you. So we are doing these events around the state, and they are happening in partnership with so many organizations. And so it's an honor to be here today with the National Safety Council, a critical fighter for safe streets and other forms of safety across the nation.
Good afternoon. I'm Tina Miller. I'm with the National Safety Council. I just want to have my team. We've got quite a group here today. We all can waves and you know who you are. We have a very important and very simple mission, and that's to save lives from the workplace to any place. Our goal is to eliminate preventable deaths and injuries on the roadways. Is one of the primary focuses of our organization, and that's what brings us here today. We're very, very supportive of what Families for Safe Streets is doing. We support the Crash Victim Rights and Safety Act. We advocate for safe streets across the nation, across New York State. We've been in Albany lobbying for safe streets. We advocate for driver training and retraining, because we believe that's where the difference is going to be made. We need to get training to these drivers. We need to retrain them. There needs to be consequences. Suspension points alone is not going to make the difference that we're looking for families like the Tillmans. So we are here in support of it. We are one of the primary partners in the Road to Zero initiative. Our goal is to reach 0 fatalities on the roadways by the year 2050. So we're hoping that groups like this, rallies like this are going to help get us there. Thank you all for coming out today. Continue to support it. It's so important, not only in New York, but across the nation. So thank you, Amy, for having us today.
This is a fight that affects every New Yorker. I'm from upstate New York, north of Albany. Drove by Syracuse many times. I went to college in Rochester. I moved to New York City, and I have lost a high school classmate, and now my son, and a college student. It's just happening year after year. And so I would like to also recognize a few folks before coming up on our final speaker. Senator John Mannion is a staff member here, I believe. Okay. All right. Well, we are glad that they came out, and come on up.
Good afternoon, all. I didn't really have anything prepared, but I felt that words needed to be said. I want to first recognize Eli Harris, who was Eli Harris, who was one of our musicians here in Syracuse, who was hit by a car not once but twice. He was first hit while riding his bike, and while he sat on the sidewalk, he was hit again by a reckless driver. A lot of people knew him, whether you were at events downtown or around the city. He was always out with his guitar. You could stop and sing a song, give him a suggestion. Everyone knew him, and that was a great loss to our city. As you see, this affects all demographics. Whether you're black, brown, native, indigenous, Latino, or identifying, if you're LGBTQ, etc. This affects everybody. And it's really about getting the knowledge out about share the road. Cyclists have a right to be on the roads, just like runners, walkers. All of us have a right, and we can share this. We can share these roads. It's very important to get that out. And this is why, we have groups like Slow Roll. Those that aren't used to riding in the streets, we ride no more than 10 miles an hour, 10 to 12 miles an hour. We ride for 6 or 8 miles, one day a week. And we come together for camaraderie, and then we also teach you about how to ride in the streets as well. It's good to be in groups. It's good to learn in groups. Always make sure you wear a helmet. That's the number one priority. You have one brain and need to protect that. Broken arms and other bones, you can get those fixed or readjusted, but you have one brain. I do have some of my members of Slow Road that are here. If you'd like to wave and say hello. Thank you. Also, keep in mind too, we do have other projects going on in the city. Just want to put that plug in for the I-81 project, because that is also talking about safer streets, about having to widen the streets, and not only having to widen the streets, which goes through the urban neighborhood, which is usually the city of Syracuse, for our 15th ward, which is going to affect a lot of citizens, which are mostly black and brown residents. We have to think about also having them protected, those that walk, and there are also cyclists, because cycling is not just for fun. It also is some people's only modes of transportation. So we need to make sure all of the communities are safe. Have the proper sidewalks, have the proper bike lanes, etc. And it's about teaching, left turns, right turns, and also, our drivers knowing that. And that's why also, every year we also have the right of silence, and that is because that recognizes any cyclists that have been injured or killed while cycling. It's always the third Wednesday in May, which is May is Bike Month, and you'll see some in different cities. You'll see a ghost bike, which we do have some shoes here. They're like the ghosts. Those are from those that have been injured or killed. Use generally those that have been killed, and we need to make sure that their lives are still honored and their legacies are remembered. Thank you. Again, my name is Anika Flag. Thank you.
So I just want to close out giving everyone homework. 2 things you're going to do. We have a sign here before you go. You're going to just take a what is it called? QR code. No, it's a QR code. I'm sorry, I'm showing my age. Forget it. It'll take you right to our petition. You can sign it from your phone before you even leave. The second thing is take a picture of yourself in front of here or in front of the coffin. Tag Assemblymember Magnarelli. Say you are a resident. You need him to bring this life-saving package of bills to the floor for a vote. The Senate has already voted on several of them, and the other are coming. They are stuck in the Assembly because of him. So all of your voices as residents will be so, so important. So thank you all for coming out, and take that picture, send that petition. Let me know if you have any questions. We'd love to have your help passing these bills in the next week and a half. Thank you.